forgot to unmute myself. That was totally my fault if you couldn't hear me just now. We should be good to go. I'm still getting used to doing the pre-stream, and I muted my mic this time so you wouldn't hear me like walking around getting all of my supplies in order, but I think that we are pretty much ready to go. Like I mentioned on my Twitter and my announcements for today's stream, I'm not working on Celica today because it's not going to be ready for Fanime. And I have almost a week to prepare something else, and so I was going through my fabric stash and going through all of the stuff that I had and like ideas that I had, and I decided to do this Asami cosplay instead because I really like Asami and I don't get to cosplay her very much, so I'm going to take some time for myself and just make something quick and simple, relatively simple anyway. And that's what we're going to be working on today. Shenny UK, thank you for the follow, as well as Danny Pikachu and Black Spider Boss 82 that followed recently before the start of the stream. So anyway, how are we doing? It looks like everything is pretty much set up. I have this pattern out that I'm going to be using to make Asami spats today, which, if you're not familiar with that, is the thing that she's wearing on her feet over here. There we go. That she has these like wraps around her shoes. Those are called spats, and I am making some today using a pattern that I've had laying around for like several years now. And this is a spat pattern that I bought on Etsy that was just made by another artist. I have their name somewhere around them. Let me credit them really quickly. I have had this pattern. This is from Veska Designs. So if you want to get this pattern for yourself, you can. Veska Designs, it's V-E-S-K-A. And they're an Etsy seller, or they were, back in like 2012 or whenever I bought this. So I have not made them, at least not made this size. The spat pattern comes with 3 different versions. This is the 1-inch heel version. There's also a 2-inch heel version and a 3-inch heel version that are sized depending on you know, what size heels you're wearing. And it also is like broken up with some lines that indicate whether you're going to make the ankle high or the mid-calf high or up to the knee version of this. So what I'm making is the mid-calf because that's what lines up with Asami. So this is just like paper that I printed off and taped together myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it because this is a curved line and I can't really fold it very well. So I'm just going to cut it and then tape it back together because that's what I already did to make this pattern to begin with. And so this is the one that we're doing today. I'm always ready to cut up personal pan pizzas for you. That's so true. That's what I do. That's what I feel like I've been doing a lot on recent streams. So since I haven't really made this version before, I'm going to do a quick mock-up. And I'll talk through that as I go. But basically, instead of cutting all of my fabric at once, I'm just going to cut one out of like the cheaper fabric because it's going to have a lining and an outer layer. So I'm using felt as a base, as a lining, and so I'm going to do like a felt version, check it, see how it fits on my foot, make any changes that I want to at that point, and then assuming that I'm happy with it, I will go ahead and cut out the rest of it. So this has 3 parts. It wraps around, I guess these 2 outer parts is where the opening is. Red Bart is cool, thanks for the follow. And then the other one is the inner part of the leg. And so that's what we've got today. Oh, I also have some new toys. I don't know if I'll use this right now, but I went to Joann this morning and picked up some stuff for our stream today. So I will show you here in a minute. And before that, I got this fun, like, well, I call it fun. It's fun to me, maybe it's not fun to you. This is a chalk marker, and please tell me that it comes with the chalk already in it, or I'll be annoyed. Okay, good, it does. Although I just spilled a little bit. So this is for marking fabric. Instead of using a pencil, it has this little wheel that turns at the end. And so the idea is that as you're moving it along your surface, this is spinning rather than dragging along the surface of the fabric. And so you can get better precise marks because your pencil isn't moving the fabric while you're trying to mark it. Or at least it minimizes that. Okay, so I have got my felt here. And so I guess I'm just ready to lay it out and cut. I felt like I needed to do some more prep work, but I guess not. I guess we are ready. Oh, I've got my half of my mock-up back behind me. I'm gonna move that. I know I promised you guys curtains, and in fact I ordered the curtains to be opaque behind me so that I don't have to deal with this backlight. I ordered the curtains and they arrived, but they were the wrong size, so I had to send them back and get a different one, which I guess was my fault, but I thought I was ordering the right size and I failed to do that. Let me check in on the chat, make sure everybody's having a good time. If anybody has questions, yeah, let me know. Hey, Chrysamelis Craft is here. Welcome. We've also got Cactus Wolf. Yes. And Pink Thorn. Armin Windsor. Scarlet Letter. A lot of familiar faces here. So welcome everybody and thank you for coming to our sewing stream today. Alright, I've got this like gray felt that for whatever reason I just had a bunch of. I don't remember why I bought this or when, but I had like several yards at one point. And it's going to be wonderful as a base for this. So this is going to be like my bottom layer, and I chose felt because it's cheap and because I had it. Oh yeah, that's the other thing, is that I'm trying to make Asami almost entirely out of fabrics and things that I already had, and purchase as little as possible. And I've done pretty well on that front so far. I had to buy these buttons, and I had to buy the like gray fabric, the darker gray fabric for her capelet and her skirt. I had to buy that. But otherwise, I haven't really bought anything for this costume. I have the wig already. Mads Jubus has followed, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Well, that's pretty good. How much am I cutting up down here? Not too bad. Maybe I can move it this way. Sorry, I'm like talking to myself and you at the same time. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's a good way to conserve which shapes I have here. Okay, so having this felt already made it a strong contender for becoming a part of this costume. And then beyond that, the felt is slightly stiff, and so it's going to provide a little bit of structure to the spats. We don't need them to be like really stiff, but at least to just like stay up on the leg and not be shifting around. And I'm also going to use some interfacing on the other gray fabric that will be the exterior fabric. I have some interfacing to use for that will help us achieve that as well. What do you guys think? I think that's a pretty good way to do this. Since this is, I mean, felt doesn't really have a grain the way that other fabrics do, so I'm not too worried about like lining it up or keeping it oriented along a single grain line. And so I think this is going to be perfect. Oh, I don't need these, I need these. Cactus Wolf says, rich girl cosplay on a thrifty budget. That's so right. Asami is supposed to be like the rich girl that has all the nice fabrics. And I made another Asami costume that I only wore like once because I was not happy with it at all. I needed to redo a lot of things on that. And I made her gown from the end of season 4 that was like mostly silk on that costume, and it ended up just being a huge pain in the ass. And so this time I was like, all right, I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on this. This is like a quick thing right before Fanime, and I'm just gonna use what I have and make it as cheap as possible. And then the one fabric that I did buy it is still 100% wool, but I got it on clearance. So yes, my attempt to not use really nice fabrics for Asami almost worked, but I still have this felt to balance it out. Alright. Oh yeah, that's right. I am going to continue work on Celica for those of you who are confused. So Celica is not coming with me to Fanime, which was my original plan, and then I just didn't start early enough or do enough, I guess, off camera. I wanted to work mostly on camera for that project. So as it turns out, Celica is just not going with me to Fanime. And rather than stress out about it, I decided to give myself some time to work on something else that will be more fun for me, and just bringing that over to my streams now that we're like a week away. Miss Dino Munster says that they are streaming, or they're watching the stream while they play Fire Emblem, which sounds amazing. We got our copy of Fire Emblem Echoes, which is exciting. This is the game that Celica is from. It just came out yesterday. We got it, but because I've got so much stuff going on before Fanime, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. So we are driving to Fanime. We're in LA, and we're going to be driving to San Jose, which is a pretty decently long mini road trip. And so I'm planning on just bringing the game with me and playing it in the car if I can. Jared has already started playing it because of course he has. Gray Horace said that they are going to try sewing, and that their mom passed away unfortunately last year, so I'm going to get her old machine and supplies out and try and learn. That's exciting. I hope that you are successful with that, and in using your mother's things, it'll be maybe like a new experience that you're having that honors her even though she's not with you anymore. I hope that that is the case for you. And yes, welcome to our sewing streams, and if you have any questions, if I can't help you, someone in the chat will, for sure. A lot of my sewing stuff came from my mom, too, and my grandmother. So when I sew on their equipment, I often feel more connected to those family members. And I don't know, it's just like a nice memory of being with my grandmother, who I haven't seen now in quite a while. Alright, so I'm just going to be slicing everything up with my pizza cutter of fabric. It's kind of a tight curve, trying to be careful and not let my pattern shift out of the way. I'm going to use my little scissors right here. Sola Heika says they're also working on their own project today. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear that other people in the chat, or just that are watching the stream, are also being creative. And it's like we're all crafting together. There we go. Oh, Gwendy B is also making spats for a Fanime costume. That's cool. What are the odds? And Chris of Malice Craft says that their button box has been passed down through about 4 generations, and that some craft items are just too much, more than you can use in one lifetime. That has also been my experience. I got a huge box of buttons from my grandmother, and I know that there are buttons in there from probably her childhood, and some of them are just so incredibly old. But yeah, there's way more than I could ever use in a lifetime. And sometimes you just need like really oddly specific things. So there's no telling whether or not I'll ever use up all of those, but somehow doubt it. Looks like a lot of people are working on their costumes today in the chat. That's exciting. Yeah, I've been working on Asami for pretty much the last week. I just haven't been posting any pictures of it because I wanted it to be more of a surprise. But I've been talking about it in the stream, so if you come here, then you know. But for everybody else who's just following me, does not necessarily know what I have planned yet. And so yeah, hopefully hopefully it'll all work out. But I got most of the skirt done and lined. I just need to install the zipper and do the hem. And I have most of the shirt assembled, but not all of it. And I was running into a few issues with the pattern that I made, like the shoulders not sitting properly. So even though it's hidden under her capelet, I'm still working on that because I want to make adjustments until I'm happy with it. But then otherwise, my capelet pattern is ready, or it's almost ready. It needs a couple adjustments as well. So my next couple days will be finishing up that shirt and making the capelet, and then everything else should be good to go, assuming that I make all of these today, which I don't think will be a problem. All right, now I have 3 pieces here. Let me make sure I'm doing this properly. Oh, right, okay. So this has markings that indicate where they're markings for the placement of buttons. And this side has the markings for the placement of buttonholes. So it's my understanding that this comes and layers over this layer, but then is joined at both the front and the back of this layer. So this one is underneath it, connected at the back and the front, and then it will wrap around my foot. So with that in mind, I need to attach these back pieces here and this front piece here, the seam. It doesn't quite line up, but that's not that big of a deal. I mean, whatever. This pattern might not be perfect, but it's going to be good enough for our purposes. So I'm going to stitch this together really quickly. I don't want to adjust all of my cameras because that is a big pain in the ass, and it doesn't, it takes me a little while. And so I'm basically going to just step over to my machine, sew these 2 seams, and then I will return and continue working under this camera that I already have set up. And before I do that, I'm going to check out the craft and make sure that, the chat, and make sure that I am not missing anything big. Just everyone talking about what their projects going on. Cool, cool. All right. So I don't really need to pin this whole thing. I just want to kind of generally pin it into position. It looks like the pieces do not quite line up. Like the curve is almost exactly the same, but they don't quite line up from the top, sorry, from the, like the front or the inside or the outside. I guess that's a better way to refer to them. So I'm just gonna have to trim off the extra there because that's not really gonna be that big of a deal. So let me step over to my machine, stitch this really quickly, and then I will be back. I'm back. Suddenly spats. And Zephyr Makes Things, thank you. Zephyr Makes Things, that's what your name is, sorry. Thanks for following. Welcome to our stream today. Cool. Alright, so that was pretty quick. I just did my 2 stitches up and down the front and the back of this. And this is what we've got. Now, ironing this out is going to change the shape, but before I do that, I'm going to like put it on my foot. I am wearing my shoes, and unfortunately can't see this part, but I am wearing the shoes that I'm planning on wearing for Asami. And so this will be a pretty good indicator of how they can fit, or they will fit. Alright, I will have to do some adjustments for the top of the toe, but I think it's going to be a really quick fix. Sorry that you can't see what's going on here while I like hop on one foot and hold myself up. Maybe I'll shove my foot up on this table. We'll see if I can do that without hurting myself. Here in a minute. But as for right now, what I am doing is positioning this piece of felt over my foot and just kind of pulling it. And now I'm going to pin it along the place where it'll be closed. So this is my mock-up. This is giving me a sense of how these pieces are going to interact, and just making sure that everything is sewn at the right angle that I want. What does Asami's spat look like anyway? Let me pull it up on my reference image here. Oh yeah, I think that'll be good. What's up, Jared? Oh, you're just stealing stuff? Okay. Jared just came down here to grab a light stand that I had previously stolen from his filming area. Well, it's kind of hard to see with the chalk on the felt. That isn't working super well, so I'm just going to cut it. So I'm just making some really basic adjustments to this. And finally, the major adjustment, which is just the angle at which this front seam connects to the foot. I'm going to step over to my mirror really quickly and double check my handiwork on all angles. Yeah, I think that will definitely suit my purposes. Alright, now I'm going to do my best to show you guys what I'm working on. Let's see how this goes. Ugh. There we have it. Here's my leg. There's my spat, and this is the pin that I just put in it, as well as some pins going up the side to position it. And that is the amount of fabric that I need to take out up at the top in order to make this sit a little bit more nicely on my foot. So now I'm freeing myself from my pins. I mentioned that the top pieces didn't quite line up, so I'm also going to correct that while, like, there's a little bit of like overlap on one edge, so I'm going to correct that while I can. I'm actually going to just grade it out. No, I did want to keep that as a straight line. I changed my mind. Better. And I think I had an issue on the bottom, but I guess I already took care of it. Alright, so this is where I need to make my adjustment and have this kind of connected down. This seam line is what I should be looking at, really. Let's see if my pencil will do the job. Nope, still not. Felt is difficult to mark. That's the downside of using that. Let me grab like a marker. I don't know if this one still has ink. All right. Here we go. I'm honestly just gonna eyeball this. Which I don't think will be an issue. This is a very, very minor change. Okay, so now cutting out my extra fabric. And I'm just cutting through both layers at once because it's a really simple seam there that matches up really well. Cool. Eternal Astra just joined us a little bit ago. I'm just checking in on chat comments. It looks like people are talking about various cosplays that they're working on and giving each other advice, which is awesome to see. Okay. So I am now going to undo these seams that I just sewed and use this as my pattern rather than the paper pattern because I've made changes to this one. So I can put away my paper pattern. Thank you, Vesca, for that pattern. And the next thing that I'm going to do is transfer this to another piece of felt and also to interfacing. And then the interfacing will be ironed down to our wool and create that outer layer. So that's the game plan. And now you get to just watch me seam ripping fabric. If anybody else is planning on attending Fanime next weekend, please let me know because I'm really excited about it. This is my very first Fanime. So I have a few friends that I know for sure I'm going to see there, and we have a couple of plans. But otherwise, I would love to see new people and meet new people and see new faces. So let me know if you're going. I don't have anything big planned aside from just wearing my own costumes. Which is not really any big plans. But I am going to be Zelda for sure. I'm going to be Asami for sure. Well, you know, assuming I finish it in the next few days, which shouldn't be a problem. And I'm going to be Futaba for sure. But I don't have my schedule set in stone yet. So I'm open to suggestion about making changes on what days I'm wearing things. Hey, it's Shar. Welcome today. Welcome to our stream. Katie says she loves seam ripping. I don't. Most people hate it. So that's wonderful. I'm glad that this is suiting you and that you're enjoying this. That makes me happy, but at the same time, I don't understand why, but that's okay. I like some other tedious things that other people don't understand, so maybe that's just your thing. Oops. Yeah, I pulled on a little bit of my felt there, but that's fine. It didn't really cause any issues. And there we have it. Almost. There we go. So I'm gonna just reuse these same pieces of felt because there's no real need to cut another one. Well, I need to cut one more, but I don't need to cut two more because this one is still fine. A lot of the time with mock-ups, you end up sacrificing the work. Well, with a mock-up, the assumption is that you're sacrificing the material, that you're not trying to use that as a part of the finished piece, which is fine. But for this one, it is the same material since I did have so much of this felt that I was just like, whatever, let's go for it. Also, it's felt, so that's what felt is for doing things that can be cheap mock-ups. Oops. Okay. Jostled my cable there a little bit. Okay. So this is my, for all intents and purposes, my new pattern, and also one half of my lining. Gwendy B says, which day are you planning on wearing Zelda? I'm going to wear a sheep cosplay for Sunday. Would love to grab a photo with you. I am wearing Zelda on Saturday because she's my big costume for Fanime. I don't have anything else bigger. I'm going to push this down a little bit. I don't have anything else, any other major costumes, so I am going to wear her on Saturday. But if you, for some reason, decide to wear Chic instead, that's like the one thing that I have announced, is that Zelda will for sure be Saturday because I have a photo shoot scheduled. So, sorry, I would change that if I had not already made promises to other people. But I don't know, maybe, I don't think I'm going to wear her more than one day. I'll probably be tired, but Asami might. We'll see about that one. Stereotypical ICDN. It'll almost look like icon, but not quite. Says hello. How's it going? Welcome to our chat. I've got my energy tea out again. I've been trying to drink less coffee. It's been semi-successful. I haven't cut out coffee entirely. I've been trying to just have less, like, milk and sugar more. It's not really coffee, it's the milk and sugar. And so my tea, I don't put milk and sugar in it, and I still like it more for some reason. Alright, I've got some interfacing here, and I'm going to fold it and cut two at once, like a fabric, or like I typically do when working with fabric. I'm just deciding what is the better way to do that, because I could fold it, I've got pieces like that. That could be good, right? I think that could be good. I think that would be a nice arrangement. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm gonna fold this over hamburger style instead of hot dog style. Is that still a thing? Is that how they teach kids these days? That's how I learned it when I was in like elementary school. Whether you're folding something lengthwise or widthwise, I guess. Hot dogs and hamburgers. So No Mas Entertainment, maybe, is asking, what is interfacing? Interfacing is a support for the fabric, basically. I'm not going to be putting it on the felt itself, but I'm going to be putting it on the wool that I have here. And the job of the interfacing is to provide more body, more thickness, prevent it from stretching, and things like that. So this is a fusible interfacing that has basically like an iron activated adhesive on one side, and it is going to just stick straight onto the fabric when I heat it up, and you'll get to watch that, and you'll see the difference before and after applying the interfacing, and that should give you a good idea of you know what it's doing. Okay, Let's see what other arrangements I can find for this. This is a puzzle sometimes. How did I arrange my other pieces? I like had that one in the middle. With this interfacing, I am a little bit more concerned about keeping it on the, like, the same grain line, so to speak, but it's really not that big of a deal. Maybe I should just say F it and then just conserve as much of this as possible. But I don't like doing that whenever I can avoid it. See, if I just like tilted this, that would be fine, but I don't really want to do that. Maybe like this. Boom. Got it. I figured out the arrangement. Oh, not quite. Almost. Almost there. Alright, well I guess I can tilt things just this much because this isn't like a really I don't know what you would call it. Like, there is a difference between the various sides and how they behave because it has a little bit of stretch one direction, but once you lay it down, the stretch is gone, so it shouldn't make any difference. Alright, what have we got here? The hot dog and hamburger thing that is correct. Scarlet Letter says that that's still the same. Isak is asking, what is my favorite episode of Legend of Korra? Oh, that's a good question. Oh, no, I know the answer. It's the one with the Beifongs. It's the one that's Operation Beifong. Operation Beifong is the one where they go rescue the Beifongs. That's a really, really good episode. I would say that it ranks among my favorites. Or just any Lin episode in general. Like, the one where she's recovering in, what's it called? Her sister's city, Zaofu. And she's doing acupuncture and, like, revisiting her horrible memories from growing up. Yeah, any sort of Lin Beifong scenes are my favorite scenes of anything ever. So yeah, I would say Lin Beifong centric content is what I am here for. Chris Amalis is heading out. I don't blame you. You are up late, I think. Yeah. Alright, well thanks for joining us, and have a lovely rest of your night. Yeah, Lin Beifong is my wife, my animated wife. If I had to pick any animated character to be married to forever, it would be Lin Beifong. So, you know, as you've seen in my previous streams, I have a small shrine dedicated to her. Well, it's not all entirely in one place. I have several images depicting Lin Beifong scattered throughout my house, including that nice figurine that they released. I got that recently. I'm super happy with it. So beautiful. She's so wonderful. Alright. I'm just gonna sacrifice some of these little side pieces. So turning, folding this interfacing in on itself and cutting two at once also does the wonderful job of making sure that we perfectly mirror everything, because this adhesive is only on one side, and so if I were to cut every piece individually and not be doing two at once, I would open up the possibility that I could make an error and accidentally cut two pieces that are not properly mirrored. They're gonna get married after that. So whenever you can, it's a good idea to cut two at once, both because it's more efficient and it saves your time, but it also just makes sure that you don't make any mistakes when you're cutting and then accidentally cut two of one side rather than flipping it over and getting the other side. So now we have two matching pieces, and they each have the adhesive on the opposite sides of the piece. So we actually need, no, yeah, we just need two of each piece because this is in unique pieces. Okay. The foot shape sometimes catches me off guard because the two pieces look so much alike, but yes, this is the correct number of things that we need to cut. All right. So we did a pretty good job of conserving our material here. Still got, what else? I don't think I need this for any other part of Asami, so that can be saved for my next costume and thrown back into my stash. Cactus Wolf refers to the spats as shoe sweaters, which is a lovely phrase that I think I will be borrowing for the future. Yes, spats are the shoe sweaters, you know. The sweaters the shoes are wearing. Okay, there we go. Solamaz, thank you for following. Thanks. Welcome to our sewing stream. I almost dumped those paper weights or fabric weights into my tea because of course I did. All right, now I'm gonna separate this interfacing and set it aside and go back to my felt and cut my other half right now. And then we can move on to doing the wool layer, which is the really fun stuff. So those can just chill out for a bit. I always try to like use up whatever weirdly cut sections I can first, so that you're left with the most useful like shapes. Like trying to like when you're cutting fabric, you end up with like weirdly shaped leftovers where there's like long strips and like weird odd sections. So anytime that I'm working, I try to like use up those parts that extend into other like usable areas, and then hopefully end up with something like a square or a large rectangle when I'm done, and not just shred it into even more tiny pieces that are become even less useful. So that's my general approach to cutting fabric. And you can barely see what I'm doing because this is now gray on gray. Now, another beautiful aspect of this felt is that it's reversible. The front and the back are exactly the same. And so for that reason, I don't need to worry about like cutting the opposite of these pieces because they can just be flipped both directions. So in that regard, this is going to be super easy. My other cutting strategy is that I try to like separate the piece that I'm cutting from the rest of the fabric as quickly as possible. Oops, please line up. Oh no. I really should put fabric weights on this. What am I doing? So that the rest of this mass of felt that's near the edge of my table isn't pulling on what's here and, you know, creating distortion, which is the thing that we're always trying to avoid in sewing. Although with this felt, it's not really an issue, but it's still, out of habit, I am approaching it this way. It's good to always go in with a strategy, I think. I do the same thing when I'm eating. I guess this is just like a part of my personality, is I eat strategically so that my favorite flavors are like the last ones left on the plate, and then I can, you know, like enjoy it as at the very end of my meal. So it's a thing that I'm left with. I don't know. That's probably something a lot of people do. Okay, so I've got a pretty decent little chunk of felt left, which will almost certainly be used for some other project in the future. Alright, what's going on here? Sia Isik, who's heading out. Thanks for stopping by. Have fun at your friend's wedding or whoever's getting married. Alright. And one last piece to cut, and then we can move on to back to our interfacing. So I'm not worried about keeping my pattern alterations, like keeping a record of that. I'm saving my spats pattern that I started with, and I don't really feel the need to save those adjustments because every shoe I make it for is going to be different. Rinoa Uchiha. Okay, that's your name. Rinoa and Uchiha, like from Final Fantasy and Naruto. I got it. Thank you for following. It took me a minute to decipher all of those syllables, but we got it. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, so I'm not worried about making adjustments because this is the adjustments that I made were specifically for these shoes that I'm going to be wearing with Asami. Chances are I will be wearing different shoes next time I need to make spats, and so for that reason I don't care about like creating a custom version of this pattern because it's going to be different every time, and also that was probably the quickest and easiest mock-up I've ever made, at least in recent memory. So my next step is going to involve my new toy that I bought today. Well, it's not a toy, but it is a toy to me. I got a tabletop ironing board today at Joann's so that I can iron right here and not have to move any of my crap and have good lighting right over it. So, you know, so much for the ironing station that I built myself back behind me that's really cute and all of that. It has plenty of awesome storage. Instead of using that, we're going to use this so that I can put it right here and just iron in front of all of you. And I need to make sure my iron is on. So what setting are we putting this to? Wool and silk. Looks good. And then this case I guess I can just hold on to if I ever want the world's flimsiest ironing board case to go nowhere with. You know, you never know. Yeah, I like this little ironing board, and it's got this same like ironing coating on it that is supposed to, I don't know what it's supposed to be doing, but it's silver. Oh, okay, so it looks like the coating, this is interesting, the coating that this like silver stuff is 50% aluminum and 50% pearl powder. So I'm assuming that that has to do with conducting heat. Like that's the reason why they choose that for ironing board covers, because you're putting heat on it from the top, but then if it's aluminum underneath, then that will like conduct that heat and disperse it a little bit better so that it's hitting it for both sides or something like that. That's my guess anyway. Okay. So now we're ready to go with these interfacing, these cut pieces that I just did. So my next plan is to iron these down to the wool fabric, and I will show you what that looks like. Oh, and I missed one here. I almost lost one. Yutsubara says I should really have Jared help me get some sweet camera setups for my stuff. Yeah, I should. I asked him about it, and I we know what would go into that, which is changing my software, changing several things, and buying more cameras, buying a lot more cables and stuff. And that's just not something I feel like doing right now. We're both really busy, and this is certainly good enough for my purposes right now. So I'm not making it a huge priority. But you're right that should happen in the future, and I hope that it does, especially if I want to do like Twitch partnership. I want to be continually improving my stream if I can. So this is my wool that I bought, which was on clearance at Joann's, in my defense. And it was actually the only fabric I could find in the whole store that was exactly the color I was looking for. So in that regard, I didn't have a ton of choice, although I could have gone to the fabric district if I had wanted to. Oh, I guess I don't need to fold this in half, with the reason being that it needs to be individually ironed onto all of my interfacing pieces. So okay, I'm not going to be able to play my puzzle game this time. Or I will, just not in the same way. Okay. So one thing I'm going to be doing is, let's get my phone over here to like weigh down the fabric so that it's not pulling it toward the edge. So my phone right now is just serving as a fabric weight. Alright, and then my ironing board, you can see which part of this surface is the ironing board. So this is my my selvage edge right here. I want to align all of my pieces according to that edge because I still care about grain lines. Although with this fabric, it should be fine for me to flip vertically along that axis. But that's not what I want for these pieces. So because my work surface area is a lot smaller, I'm not going to be able to like perfectly arrange all of these at once, but I'm still going to do the best that I can. Or at least plot out the placement of some surrounding pieces before I totally commit to ironing it down. You know what I think I need to be doing is, because I want to conserve as much of that fabric as possible in that direction, I need to work this way and just keep moving my fabric up and orienting my pieces along that line. So okay, that might be something that is hard for you to understand right now, but it makes sense to me, which is what matters. Now, this has like some pieces pulled up here that I'm trying to avoid. I think that would be a good placement for this piece. Alright, that looks good to me. I'm committing. What have we got here? Oh, hey kitten, welcome! And Mandolin is here as well. So we were working on the spats for Asami, which is right down here, and as Cactus Wolf put it earlier, these are her shoe sweaters. That's right. And my iron is now ready. I'm gonna move this back up a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like an impression, the outline of my iron now, right in that spot. Once again, when you're applying interfacing, you don't want to slide your iron around because it can distort the interfacing, it can distort the fabric beneath it, and you don't want that. So you want to just lift and press, like I am doing right now. Obsidian says that they're playing Fire Emblem Echoes. That's cool. I will be joining you very soon once my Fanime costumes are done. And I can earn my leisure time. Let's see, who is this? Oh, my mouse is like totally buried under fabric over here. Nia says, Heidi, you're so talented. I need to practice so I can do cool stuff too. Yeah, thank you for the compliment, but you said it yourself. This is a result of practice and not necessarily an inherent gift or ability that I have. So while I appreciate the compliment for sure, always keep in mind that this is, you know, work that anyone can do. You don't need to have some sort of inborn talent to be able to make these kinds of cool things. You can just learn as you go. So I hope that everyone is encouraged to do that work and not intimidated by the idea that it is somehow people are just like inherently good at it. That is not the case. I am only good at it because I have practiced. So. All right. So instead of cutting out all of these pieces immediately, I don't feel like I really need to do that. I'm just gonna slide them along and keep ironing them all on and then cut them out in the end. So let's see what other pieces we can jigsaw together here. I guess that's fine. Yeah, let's do that. Get some of the larger pieces out of the way first. Yeah, I don't think that's really... I don't think it makes too much of a difference which one I do first, so let's just go. Katie says, generally I agree with Heidi, but my boyfriend sewed his fingers together 4 times during our time at school. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, you know, maybe some people just can't be helped. No, I hope that his fingers were not terribly injured or anything like that. I also sewed my fingers once, so yeah, take that for what it's worth, is that I have ran my fingers into a sewing machine before. Because I just wasn't paying enough attention, I guess. I was working on something that was really detailed, that was really close to the needle, and I got myself. So it's not like it was just like never took my finger out and just kept sewing. Well, I guess that's literally what happened, but you know. It happens to the best of us, I'll say that. Not that I'm necessarily the best of anybody, but you know, stuff happens. I've also burned myself with the iron plenty of times, which I will hopefully avoid doing now on camera. I think that my iron is a little bit sticky, which is a bummer. I'm gonna have to look at that later, but I'm not gonna waste my time right now messing with it. You know, it is pretty impressive that you would sew into your fingers 4 different times, because you'd think after the first time you're like, oh crap, that can happen, and then, you know, if it happens the second time you're like, man, I really need to stop doing this and start paying more attention. After the third point, I would assume that you would just have to admit that it's your fault. And after the 4th time, I don't know, I guess that's when you quit sewing. Not that you should quit sewing. But that is pretty funny. That takes dedication to, I guess, mess up that consistently. I've definitely also stabbed myself with a seam ripper. Pink Thorn is saying, yes, there's all kinds of sewing related injuries that you know, we have yet to uncover here on the stream, so maybe I shouldn't be jinxing myself by talking too much about it. Katie says that her boyfriend is impressively accident prone. Our friend here who has burned him, or not burned himself, sewed his fingers 4 times. So yes, tell him that we got a laugh out of that. So at the very least, his suffering has made other people happy. I like to go over the same areas a little bit with my iron and like placed kind of over the seam line so that it gets rid of the iron impressions that I'm making, or at least balances them out. So these are our last 3 pieces here. Let me see what the best orientation for them will be. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay, cool. So we're getting there, almost done with this part. I'm just kind of testing the edges a little bit to make sure that there's nothing that like wants to come up. But I think we're doing pretty well. I'm getting everything fused down there. So now we have 2 more to go. Almost there. Maybe by next time I'll have my curtains up and then I won't have this weird backlight in my face cam. But I am working on that. I did order the new pair or new set of curtains that are the correct length that I need. So hopefully that'll be good. Yes, pretty much. Mandolin is asking, is this just adding structure to the fabric? Yeah, that's more or less its purpose. Interfacing can prevent stretching, you know, add more structure, add thickness, and that's what we want for these. That's also why I'm using the felt, so that they kind of stand up on their own, but they're still a soft item, so that they're not like, you know, hard like leather or something. So hopefully these will turn out pretty nicely. Scarlet Letter is asking if I've ever gotten flies that fly into my drink. I mean, like, in my life before, yes, but not on a regular basis. Maybe I'll show you guys the skirt that I've been working on too. I've got most of it done. I mentioned that at the start of the stream, but it still needs a zipper and then I need to do the hem. But I wanted to put the zipper in first so that I can wear it and then mark my hem while I'm wearing it. And make sure that I got exactly the length that I want. But yeah, I went to Joann's for a few things this morning. I picked up buttons for Asami. And it looks like my Joann's is just like completely overhauling their button section or something because there was almost nothing. But I found something that'll work. Awesome. Perfect. Now I get to use this weird little extra piece that's sticking out here. Boop. RF Paji says it's looking fine. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited to be Asami again. I need to find Korra. I've never found a Korra to be the Korra to my Asami. But someday, that's the dream. I do have a friend that we've talked about it before. We just haven't been able to make it happen. But someday the stars will align. Hopefully this year. I'll keep you updated on that. Yeah, I kind of wish my iron wasn't so sticky because every time I lift it, it's taking a little bit of the fabric with it, but seems to be doing fine still, at least for what I need from it today. Oh, Katie needs a convention to wear her Zelda costume to in the UK. I don't know too much about UK conventions. I know MCM London is like right around the corner, right? Is that correct? I think that's a big one, but that one's more of a comic book con. But Zelda, I feel like Zelda could be worn to almost any con, because whether it's video games or anime or even comic books, Zelda is just so popular that people know who that is, regardless. So you could get away wearing that to really any con. So yeah, just have it in mind for future conventions. I have unfortunately never been to a UK convention. I've unfortunately never been off of, you know, the North American continent, which I would love to. But I have at least gotten to travel a little bit north and south, just not ever over any oceans. Someday. Someone says that the way that I'm handling this iron is making them anxious. Why is that? I feel comfortable with it. Alright, and that was the last of our pieces, I believe. Yes. I'm gonna move my ironing board back off. Oh, it came with like a little hook that I'm not using. I should take that off. This is my first time messing with this, obviously. It's probably gonna like slide and fall and make a bunch of noise, but whatever. El Banana Bunny, thank you for the follow, and I like your name, that's pretty cute. Alright, now I am just gonna cut all of these out with my rotary cutter. Ooh, Sapphire Gray is here. Sounds like they're going on a date later. But thank you for joining us in the time that you have before your hot date. I'm going to clip that with my scissors, just so that I don't accidentally cut too far. It's kind of a downside of the rotary blade, is that it's a little bit harder to get like precise corners, but that's fine. We can combine with scissors. I sharpened all of my scissors yesterday. It was extremely satisfying. I just sat down and sharpened everything. And now they're all working so much more wonderfully. Oh, I'm like blocking it with my head. Sorry guys, I do that sometimes. Oh, it's with her boyfriend of 5 years. That doesn't mean it can't be a hot date. That was Sapphire Gray checking back in with her date. Kitten is asking, how hard do you have to push with the pizza cutter for it to go through the fabric? Not hard, but yeah, if it's sharp. And with a cutting mat like this, you know, it's creating little tiny cuts in the surface every time I use it. You can kind of see it if you're looking at it really closely, but those are like little divots in the surface now. And so as I'm cutting over like old cut marks, it can lead to like the fabric not completely separating in certain areas and getting like little bitty like strings of fibers that are still attached, which is really annoying. But aside from that, it does not require a lot of pressure. Oh, it did separate. Wonderful. All right. So now I have completely separated my pieces that I'm going to continue cutting from the rest of the fabric. I'm going to fold this up before it just becomes a wrinkled mess. Okay, so there's the rest of my wool set aside. I don't need to do much else with that aside from make the capelet, but it's nice to have some extra just in case. There is a corner here where it doesn't look like it got ironed down all the way. I'm gonna just do that really quickly back here. I want to make sure that my interfacing is not lifting up anywhere if I can avoid it. Now I will just cut all of these apart. Yeah, there's sort of like some almost invisible threads that stay attached. Some of the passes with the rotary cutter. So there's one. This Nerds and Craft is asking if this is a self-healing mat. This is not technically a self-healing mat, but this is the largest size that you could buy at a Joann's. Unfortunately, they just don't have them in this size, so this is like a plastic mat. Self-healing is also, like, I think, a little bit of a lie, because the material cannot literally repair itself. It is still creating, you know, tiny cuts in the surface. But I don't know. I'm sure it's superior to just the plastic mat, but not available in this size that I know of. Nerds and Craft is asking what material am I using? This is just regular felt. This is not wool felt. It's synthetic felt of some kind. This is 100% wool suiting. So I just attached the interfacing to this side. This will be the exterior side. Like the fashion fabric for our spats. And the felt is going to be the lining just to provide some additional structure from the support from beneath. And that is my plan for these. I'm also going to add Velcro to them, which I should probably do before I fully sew everything together. Is to give them a Velcro closure. And then, because they only have one button, which would not be doing very much on its own. So with that in mind, I'm going to give them a Velcro closure so that they're easy to slip in and out of. So Katie gave us another update about her boyfriend that sewed his fingers 4 times and saying that he was banned from using the sewing machines after that 4th time. Well, you know, it's really hard to argue with that. I would say that after 4 tries, he really, I don't know. On one hand, I would say never give up. But on the other hand, as a teacher in that situation, you need to put some sort of rules in place to prevent further injury. Apparently they sat him down and asked him why he had no concern for his own safety. Do we need to stage an intervention here? Well, I'm glad that he is okay. Alright, so my pieces are now completely cut, and this is how they look from the outside. Now I mentioned that I would show off the difference that this interfacing is making for our wool here. So this is a scrap that I just grabbed from the floor, and I'll fold it not on top of another piece. And you can see that it's very, very like shifty. Not so much like along the grain, but just in the fact that it's like kind of flimsy and that it's very drapey and wiggly. I don't have the correct vocabulary for this. Anyway, compared now to the interfaced version that is thicker, it's almost twice as thick with the interfacing. And just generally more stable, which might not be completely evident just on the camera, but from from handling it, it really is. So this, along with our felt backing that's going to be supporting all of this, should be definitely enough to hold it in the position that we want it. Okay, so I'm going to arrange these for sewing, which is front sides together, always, unless you're doing French themes. Front sides together is all we need to know right now. There's the outsides there, and there. And there. And there we go. So I'm gonna put just like a clip in each one of these pieces. They don't really need to be pinned together because they're not going anywhere. So I'm just going to put one clip on each one so that I know, you know, which sides belong where. You'll notice that I put one clip right side up and one clip upside down. This is a habit that I picked up over sewing a lot, but basically anytime I'm clipping or pinning anything, I'm thinking about how I'm gonna feed it through the machine and which direction it's going and which side is up. So on this side is up because the machine is gonna be on this side and then the fabric should stay on this side. So I've got it rolling along this direction and then I will flip it over and sew this side with this part on top and go down that way. You know, you could sew it from another direction if you wanted to, but that's going to be the ideal for starting at the top and ending at the bottom, and just making sure you're not like cramming a bunch of fabric into the throat of that machine. So there's one for us there, and then we'll do the same for the other side. All right, and now the other side. And it's good to do both of these at once so that I don't accidentally like pin them in the same direction, because then I would have to redo that. So let's make sure that we're doing both at the same time and laying everything out in such a way that they are mirror images of each other. Nerds and Crafts is asking if I made this pattern. This pattern is one that I purchased on Etsy that I showed off a little bit at the start of the stream. But this is what I started with, which is like a kind of homemade pattern that you print out on your home printer and then tape together. And this I bought on Etsy from an artist called Vesca Designs. So I've had this pattern in my stash for years, which is why I was just like, great, Asami, I have a skirt pattern, I have a spats pattern, ready to go, I just have to do the top. So yeah, if you're interested in that pattern, you can buy your own on Etsy from Vesca Designs. All right, so next I am gonna bring my stuff over to the sewing machine, and I'm gonna bring you guys along with me this time. I'm not gonna move this overhead camera because I'm gonna end up coming back to this spot before the end of the stream, but I will at least slide my little face cam around. You can look at my laptop with all these cords coming out of it. And see a little bit of what I'm doing, although hopefully it will be quick because there's not too much sewing to do here. It's only a few seams. I can get it mostly out of the shot of that overhead cam. Boop, there we go. That's all I'm gonna do for today because it's too much hassle to mess with. Hopefully you know how to push fabric through a sewing machine. We're not doing anything special. or I would try to show you more in depth, but I'll be back to look at the chat in just a minute after I get these stitched up. Okay, I'm just doing a regular straight stitch. I've got black bobbin thread and, well, I guess this is gray actually, which is nice. And I'm on the verge of running out. Not backstitch. Alright, there's our first one done. I have 3 more of these to go, more or less. I'm going to throw it up here on the table as a reminder that I'm coming back. And I'll take it on the chat. Okay. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask them. You know, not that we're doing anything super complicated today, but it's more the sentiment that you should never be afraid to ask what's going on. Another side, and we're almost done with the exterior here. Sometimes I slam my foot down too hard right at the start of the seam. But usually I got it. one more for our pile here. These are not quite looking like the thing yet, but hopefully they will soon. Hey, Mira Scarlett is here. Welcome. Nice to see you. We are just finishing up these spats that I have been working on this stream, and so this is the interior felt layer that's going to be giving them some structure. Alright, we are down to our last one, and then hopefully I will be done sewing this until I'm ready to marry these two together. Alright dudes, we are done sewing, and I'm going to come back over to my table now so I don't have to be like obnoxiously hard to see. There you go. Here's your little view of my backyard slash sewing area, whatever that is. Ironing area. Okay, cool. I'm back. What's everyone been talking about? Mia's heading out, or I'm maybe already headed out and I missed her. Well, sorry. Thanks for lurking. Oh wow, Nerds and Crafts says they have a fibers major and they took a class all about kilts. That's fascinating. Oh, that's awesome. So that was at SCAD, and they have the most hands-on fibers major in the US. That's so neat. What is that? Tiffy Lulu. I'm gonna hope that's the correct pronunciation. Thank you for your follow. Welcome to our stream. That's fascinating, Nerds and Crafts. I unfortunately did not get any sort of advanced training like that, but I'm doing the best that I can. Here we go. So all of those need to be ironed next. I'm gonna grab, I guess I'll just bring that bigger ironing board back out here. Since I just got it, I better get some good use out of it. And this is getting hooked on my doorknob over there. This is all ready to go again. Okay. I am gonna go grab myself something to drink. Maybe a water, or maybe I'll cave and get my coffee this time because I totally want some coffee. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a drink and then I will continue clipping these seams open, and then we'll iron it all down and prepare to make this look more three-dimensional. I'm back, and I brought my little ham with me too. Alright, what did I miss? Fia Cole 22 has got a study for finals. Well, good luck with your finals, and see you later. I certainly don't miss that about being in college, having to do finals at the end of the semester. Alright. So I grabbed this ham. That is what this is literally called. I think it has some other names, but I've always learned to call it a ham. And it's, if you missed our previous stream where I was using it, this is designed to be ironed on top of. So you have ironing boards and you have ironing hams, which is for going over curves, basically. And because this is a curved surface, you can position it in different ways. You can buy a ham holder, which I totally need to get, but I don't have one, which will hold your ham in position, whether you want to like move it and like have it at whatever angle, it will hold it for you. I don't have that, but the ham itself should be very useful. So what I'm going to be doing is clipping these seams so that I can spread them apart without distorting our seam line, and ironing everything. So ironing regularly throughout the entire creation of your sewing project makes a really, really big difference in how the fabric all lays and interacts with each other. Oh, this one I had like a weird time lining that up, so I'm just gonna trim off the extra. Boop. Okay. Alright, so whenever I am working on any type of sewing project, I press the fabric regularly throughout the entire creation process. You sew a seam, you press it open. You cut your fabric, you serge the edges, you press it open. And so you're just like constantly pressing things. But the result is that your fabric items are way more crisp and precise than they would be otherwise. Everyone's talking about their graduation schedule. Well, congrats to everyone who is graduating soon. Red Bard got their BSA in advertising and graphic design. That was last year though, right? Or no, they just graduated. Okay, so that's exciting. Let's see, what else do we have here? Pink Thorn is Bachelor of Science in Applied Criminology. That sounds cool. Did I miss any others? Well, congratulations specifically to the graduates because I have recently finished college and I have a strong appreciation for how much work it is to do all of that. So you deserve your moment of recognition for sure. And I hope that you all can take it easy now that you're finished with school. So the job that my ham is doing now is that as I am spreading this seam open, the fabric is kind of like hanging off to the side, but my seam is totally flat. And it's just making it a lot easier to maneuver around this like weird curved seam because I'm not crunching all of the fabric against a flat surface underneath it. It's got a rounded surface and is therefore a lot easier to work with. So there's my ham in action. Oh, and I think I just ironed a little bit too far and put a crease in that I didn't want, but that's okay. We can keep working with it. Everyone's talking about their degrees. Mandolin got a BA in Greek and Roman history and a minor concentration in Norse mythology. That sounds amazing. Eternal Astra is a joint major in cultural studies and English. University is hard. Yeah, my degree is a BFA in theatrical design and technology. So I learned a little bit about costumes. I learned quite a bit about costumes, but I also learned quite a bit about other aspects of theater, which unfortunately I don't ever put to use now. Zephyr Makes Things said that their graduation gift to themselves is Fanime cosplay progress. That's beautiful, you know. Yeah, being in school really depletes your free time to do anything else. So as soon as I finished college, rather, I had a lot more time to start sewing and doing other kinds of creative things. Koiko Destal is like, oh shit, you're doing Asami instead? Yes. So this is like a special Asami stream. After this stream, I'm not sure what my Wednesday game plan is going to be because I'm leaving super early Thursday morning and I might need that time to pack. But if I'm streaming, I might do an Asami stream. It might be like Zelda touch-ups. It's probably going to be something Fanime related because I will be in my final hours of being able to prepare for this trip. So most likely Wednesday stream will be somehow related to Fanime. Otherwise, we will be resuming our Celica streams immediately after Fanime, and I have not abandoned that costume. We've put so many hours of work into it that we are going to be going back to it very shortly. But as for right now, I'm just in the short term prioritizing Fanime and prioritizing me having fun running around as Asami and not worrying about wearing something really complicated. And Koiko Destal is also like, wait, why are you ironing over a plushy thing? So I mentioned a little while ago as I started that this is basically a round ironing surface. And since I am ironing over these like rounded seams and like weird round shapes, it is much easier for me to do that on a rounded surface. So that is why we are ironing over the plushy thingy. And despite the appearances, it is quite solid. It's really hard. You know, I don't know exactly what it's made out of. And it does have some sort of stuffing inside, but you can hear it. It's almost like cardboard or something. It's probably something stiffer than that because it's got the like sturdiness to it. So you can't really like squish it. But that's what that is. It's our ham. Oh, Zephyr makes things says it's sawdust. That does make sense, yeah. Because it's wood, and so it's resistant to at least this amount of heat. Alright, there we go. I'm ready to clip the next side. So I'm clipping almost all the way up into the stitching line, not quite, because you don't want it to like, you don't want to accidentally clip your stitches, number one. And you don't want the fabric to like split and run into that. So you get really close, but not all the way there. Or at least that's the way I've always done it. So snipping, Quakeoda still asking about why am I snipping the seam allowance. I'm snipping it so that I can spread it open like I'm doing here. As you can see from the part where I'm ironing, the gray fabric is stretched a little bit, and these clips are allowing it to spread open. I can probably put this a little bit closer to the camera to show you that. But like compared to this side, it's not as noticeable. Like the fabric isn't spread apart as much, but this is a more severe curve, so it is spreading apart. So I'm basically just releasing that tension by clipping it, and this is the seam allowance, so it's not going to be visible. But that's allowing the seam to lay really flat and pretty on the opposite side. There we go. Unhero, hi, welcome. Quakeoda still is asking, how am I going to finish the seams then? Well, I thought about serging this, but I honestly don't know that I will. Like, this is going to be fully lined with this other layer here, and so none of this is going to be visible from the outside. Also, given the fact that it's all interfaced, fraying is not going to be much of an issue, because it's going to be contained by that interfacing. So with that in mind, I don't think I'm going to be doing any sort of special finishing on the seams because I don't see a need for it, and it would add bulk. So a lot of the time I serge my fabric to finish those seams, and when I was in school they pretty much serged everything all the time. And I've since learned to not do that when I can avoid it, because it will add so much bulk to your seams. And specifically on this project, or this piece of the project, that might be a concern of it getting too bulky at the seams because of this felt. So instead of that, I'm just gonna let it be, because there is not, there's not much of a need, honestly, to do anything special to these seam allowances, in my opinion. And here says that they wish that Jared and I could follow Gerard to Scandinavia. Is that where he is right now? Is he at the Retro Spielmissen Con? I know that our friend Brent went there. Brentelfloss has been there in the past, and he raved about how much he loved it. But we have not been able to go because of our schedules, so. Alright, and there we go. See, now this is my clipped and pressed seam. This is the front seam where it's going to be like the front of my leg and the top of the shoe right there. And this is now laying pretty flat and nice and pretty, versus the other one that has not yet been done. It doesn't even want to like open up at all because I have not clipped and pressed it. So there's your comparison of why I'm doing this and what difference it makes. It makes a very considerable difference, especially if I were to try and like put this on right now. It would just be kind of a mess. So there's one, and I can set this aside for now. And do the next. Moose Gallon. That's a cute name. Thank you for following. Welcome to our stream. And hey, Within One Tiger just showed up. Nice to see you here. Well, Unhero, I would love to come to Scandinavia. I would really love to travel all over Europe, but I have not yet had that opportunity, so one of these days I hope we'll get invited to another convention out there that we can make work for our schedule. But yes, I've heard very good things about the convention that you guys have going on out there. I think Norm is out there too right now, which is another good friend of ours. So hopefully he and his wife, I think, went with him. Hopefully they're enjoying themselves. Oh yeah, sorry Within One Tiger. I guess I don't have that command set up. I mean, I guess that's something I have to do manually, but I should look into that. And thank you for, Kitten, thank you for answering that question for her. So today, for those of you who are just joining us, we're doing a special Asami progress stream, and then after Fanime, we will resume our Celica streams. So this is just my side chick right now. My Asami's my side chick, but I have not forgotten about Celica. We're going back to her. Come back, baby. I just wanted to spend my last time before Fanime making something that I can actually wear there. Oh, so Itzig is still in the chat saying that they're headed to the wedding receptions. Are you like watching the stream during the wedding, or like during your time with this wedding? Are you like on your phone watching this in the reception in the background in your car? That's pretty funny. Oh, okay, so it's on the drive to the reception. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you... So your wedding took place since you said you were leaving, and now you're still watching. That's pretty cool. We're glad to have you. Thank you. Thank you guys for keeping me company while I do my ironing, which would otherwise be extremely boring. So, yay. Streaming. It's just to keep me occupied while I'm ironing and sewing. Pinkthorn is talking about their bodysuit plans. Yes, I hope that you can get your confidence up for wearing whatever you want to wear. Because confidence is a beautiful thing that we should all embrace whenever we can. If you have any questions that would maybe help you, feel free to ask them and we'll do the best we can. Hi, I Love Kotori Minami is here saying hello. So I like to iron the seam allowance open from the back so that I can really see what I'm doing. But then I like to go back over it from the front just to reinforce it a little bit, and so that as it's cooling down, that seam allowance is still like the smaller amount of fabric is still pressed down, if that makes sense. Oh, I just got myself on the iron, but barely. Just accidental touch. It's at a pretty low heat setting right now, so I know that some people mentioned that they were worried about the way that I was handling this iron. I can assure you this will not cause me any great injury. So. Red Bar is Cool says, have I ever worked with denim and what are your thoughts on it? Denim can be really nice. I have worked with denim. I haven't made like pants or anything, but I made like a jacket that was technically out of denim. It's a good idea to have a denim needle, which is just designed for a little bit more heavy-duty fabrics. So there's one thing you can do to help your stitching if you're having any issues with it. Otherwise, you know, denim is great as long as you're prepared to handle a little bit stiffer fabric for the right applications. It's wonderful fabric. It's relatively easy to work with, I would say. Alright, Isik, enjoy your wedding reception. Have a good one. And give our compliments to the bride and groom. Well, assuming there's a bride and groom. To whoever is getting married. Okay, this is our last wool seam, which is, the wool is a little bit more stubborn, and I want the wool to look really, really nice because it's going to be on the outside. So I'm taking my time and being careful with this one. Once we get to the felt, it should be a little bit faster because the felt is more easy to manipulate. It doesn't have the interfacing on it, so it's a little bit stretchier. And it's going to be hopefully easier to persuade to go in this new direction. So we should be able to speed up a little bit at that point. Black Spider Boss saying hello, that they've had the stream on for about an hour while they're also playing Metal Gear. Oh, that's fun. I want to say thank you for entertaining me while I'm gaming. Well, I'm glad that you found this entertaining because I feel like this is not one of my more entertaining streams. But thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Oh, hey! Within One Tiger said they finished their apron after the last stream and they sat down and sewed it. That is exciting. I'm glad that you are inspired to work on your sewing projects and that hopefully we have been a little bit of help to you here in the stream. So if you want to share your photos, you're more than welcome to. Kitten looks like she's active in the chat right now. She can give you permission to share a link if you'd like. So yeah. Even if you call it unimpressive, you should still be proud of your work, and you're more than welcome to show it off if you'd like. Yes, this is beautiful. Exactly what I want in my front seam. So there we go. That is both of my wool exterior pieces and now the felt. I'm not exactly sure how much heat this takes, but we'll find out, won't we? So I am going to do some clipping on this too. It's not as imperative as with the wool, which was quite a bit more structured than the felt is, but it will still help. You mainly need to just do your clipping along curved seams. A straight seam does not need clipping because you know, the fabric on the seam allowance is at the same curve, which is no curve. It's going, there's the same amount of fabric on that each side of the seam allowance. So it is not necessary, but when you're using a curved seam, it is necessary. And it looks like this is already easy to persuade into shape. So this is still at the wool and silk setting, which is not a ton of heat, but it looks like it's going to be more than enough for our felt. This song is so good. It makes me want to go adventuring. It's currently 3:10. I've been sewing for just over 2 hours. And it looks like we're going to make our goal of finishing these today, or if not finishing them entirely on camera, getting almost all the way there, because at the end I might take liberties with it, and we'll see. We'll see how far I get, but I'm at least going to be streaming for a little while. I'd say at least another good hour or so. Zephyr Makes Things is asking what day am I gonna wear Asami, because they're bringing a different version of Asami, and I would love to get a photo with you too if you're gonna be Asami. I haven't decided yet, so I am open to wearing her on Friday or Sunday. Probably not both, because I have at least one other costume that I want to wear. Sorry, let me blow my nose really quickly. Sorry, my allergies are acting up. So, what's your schedule, Zephyr? Because I'll wear this on whatever day you want to wear it. As long as those days are Friday or Sunday. Yes, those would be the best days for me. Kitten is asking how much of this costume I have done. Is this the last piece or do I need to make more? This is the last piece that I hadn't started yet. So getting this started and finished in one day I think will be wonderful. My skirt is almost done. I need to add the zipper and do the hem. And my shirt needs I need to add the collar and the cuffs and do a couple adjustments with the shoulders. So I haven't really shown any of that off yet, but I have done quite a bit of work, like throughout the last week I've been working on this. So, yeah, I've gotten some good progress. And this is how this one looks from the outside. I don't even really need to iron this twice because it's just already holding its position, which is why I wanted to use this stuff. So that's going to be wonderful for my like lining structural layer. And then the wool will sit on top of that and hopefully be really pretty. Zephyr says Sunday. Okay, I think I can wear this on Sunday. The only other thing that would influence my decision would be if I find like a Persona group or something like that wants to wear them, wear Persona costumes on Sunday. But I think that I could swing that. So I'll post a like for sure schedule within the next couple of days, or at least right before Fanime. and hopefully we can work that out. But I'll keep that in mind and try to make it Sunday. Let's see, Ariel Reavers just got here, welcome. Da, 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 da. Okay. Nerds and Crafts is sharing some good tips with I Love Katori here in our chat, saying that they use a felt as a press cloth when you're ironing over embroidery so that it doesn't flatten out the stitching. That is a wonderful tip that I was actually not aware of, but I did some hand embroidery on Zelda and then had to iron over it, and it did flatten out my stitching, but I didn't mind. I thought it was fine the way that it looked. But that's good to know that I can avoid that if I want to. Alright. Here is a finished spat that wants to hold shape pretty well too. Tanlequin is following, or Tanlequin maybe. Thank you for the follow. Alright. Is this the correct foot? I think it is. I think I grabbed the right one. So I'm just gonna start pinning these, or clipping these together. Ooh, that one's gone forever. By lining up the seams and seeing how we did. Isaac is still a part of the stream chat now from the wedding reception inside. That's amazing. It's like we're all at the wedding reception in spirit. We won't tell on you. Alright, so this is how this is gonna look. I've got my wool now on the outside, and it's laying very beautifully over the felt because it looks, you know, smooth now that it has this like support layer underneath. So I'm hoping that the size difference isn't too bad because I cut these to be exactly the same size rather than like grading them. So chances are yeah, I'm gonna lose a little bit of material here because I'm adding so much thickness to it. So they aren't completely lined up at the outer edges, which is fine. I mean, I needed to anticipate that, but I think I can convince it to sit how I want still. So shouldn't be too much of a problem. Hello, welcome, Wash Bear. Yeah, Isaac, tell us what are you eating at the wedding? Did it have good stuff? How's the cake? Is it decorated? Does it have cute figurines on it? Give us deets. Alright, I think that realistically I just need to lay this on my foot. Ah. So I've got a three-dimensional form that I'm working on. And hopefully I don't like fall out of this chair. Yeah, that's totally working. I might have to manipulate that a bit. But for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and iron my last piece, since that's what that's the step I was on before I got distracted putting those together. Katie G's asks, hey Heidi, did you make your dress for your wedding if you wore one? I actually answered this question on Tumblr pretty recently, so you can go to my Tumblr if you want to see these pictures. But the answer is no, I did not make my own wedding dress, and no, I did not wear a wedding dress to my wedding. But I do have pictures of me wearing a wedding dress not for my wedding. One of the photographers that I was working with frequently doing my cosplay shoots and other shoots just around fashion shoots and stuff, she was getting into wedding photography and wanted me to model a wedding dress as sample photos of what she could do for brides. So I have like fake wedding dress, well, real wedding dress, fake wedding photos from her that has details on the beautiful gown that I did not wear to my wedding, but I did wear outside of my wedding, and it was very pretty, and it made me feel like a fancy bride, even though I was not a fancy bride in real life. Alright, Within One Tiger just shared a link to her apron that she was working on. Oh, that's super cute. She's got like a galaxy pattern, or not galaxies, but constellations. So it's like a space background, and it looks like it has the planets and constellations that are, here we go, I'm going to give you a like, constellations on the print, and that's really cute with a pink waistband. So great job on that. You should be proud of yourself for doing something that you've been wanting to do, number one. That's the most important thing. And yeah, completing your project. That's awesome. Alright, we're almost there on these spats. Getting excited. Okay, so Katie did go and look at the wedding dress. Well, I'm glad you liked it. My dress that I actually wore for my wedding was like something I picked up at Dillard's like the day before. Like, it was cute, but it wasn't like wedding gown worthy. Nerds and Crafts is asking, have I ever used a seam roller to open the seam? No, I haven't. To help open the seam. That's what you were typing. No, I haven't. That would probably be useful, but I don't have that tool. Yes. With sewing, it's like there's all of these little things. You can buy all of these little tools to do basic jobs for you that you would otherwise be doing by hand. And so they all help in small ways, but no, I don't have that particular tool. Katie, thanks for the kind words about Jared and I. Yeah, when we got married, it was a very, very low-key affair. Part of the reason why, just me as a person, I don't like, how do I phrase it? I don't want this to sound like disparaging to anyone else who chooses differently. I decided that I didn't want a big, extravagant wedding that plays into all of the expectations of wedding culture, because that can be really overwhelming and it can be really superficial. It's not the case for everyone, and you know, obviously if you chose differently, then great. But I wanted my wedding to be very simple and very small and modest and not, I don't know, extravagant in that way. So we got married in our house. It took like 5 minutes, and our extended family was there, and a couple friends, and that was about it. And that's what we wanted for ourselves, because the idea was that I just wanted something small and simple that was meaningful and not necessarily flashy. So that's what we did. That's all. And yeah, it doesn't really matter what you choose. You can choose that, or you could choose to have something really an extravagant event and the best dress and the most fancy foods and things like that. But you know, it's only for one day, and maybe for you it's really important to make that one day the most memorable, but I wanted mine to be stress-free. Yes, we did get married at home. We got married in our previous home when we were living in Texas. It was a really pretty house. I liked it a lot. And so we had like a large living room, and we just had a friend who had been ordained and agreed to do our wedding, and just invited people into our living room, and that was it. Alright, that was it. That's the last seam on the felt layer. So now let's take a closer look at putting these together and seeing how the fabric is going to behave. I'm going to move my iron out of reach so I don't bump my elbow on it. Unhero says, the best part of a home wedding is when the reception is over, the guests leave, and you're already home. That is very true. I was also drinking during my wedding. During and after my wedding. Because there was tons of champagne. So it was just like, yay, I'm at my own home. Now everybody get out. I'm going to beg my new husband. You know, romance. Alright, let me take a moment and reassess what we've got going on here. This is the one I have already sewn. So this is 2 layers, and even though I cut them to be exactly the same size, they're not going to line up perfectly, and the reason why is that they are, well, one of them is wrapped around the outside. So if you think about like different lanes on a track, and how like the outside lanes are like slightly longer, it takes you a longer distance around the same area. And so like the lanes, the like finish line is staggered and the starting line is staggered. It's the same concept here applied to the fabric, and I could have planned a little bit better for that. But my hope is that it will be minor enough as to not cause any issues with this and putting it together. I am pinning all the way around the top just because I want to kind of see how that's gonna, how it's all gonna interact, and just like the more clips that I can put on here, the less separation I'll get as I'm like messing around with this. Alright, so once again I'm going to put this on my foot. Which side are we looking at? This is this. Okay, that's still fine. I'm still getting a good 1.25 inch of overlap between the two pieces, and it doesn't seem like it's really having any sort of effect. So basically the result is that this this felt side is sticking out a little bit. I'm not sure how obvious that is on camera, but the wool ends a little bit farther away from the edge in this felt. So that's okay. We can work with that. LinkFan is here with a $20 donation. Thanks, LinkFan. Link is always showing up and donating right off the bat, and that's so kind of them. So thank you, and welcome to our stream today. I am spending today working on Asami rather than Celica, because Asami is going to come with me to Fanime, and we're less than a week out to Fanime, so I wanted to use my time wisely as the convention approaches. So this is what I've made today, which is a felt layer and a wool layer, which is interfaced, of these spats, which down here on Asami's feet, she's got these shoe sweaters, as Cactus Wolf nicknamed them earlier, and that's what we're working on right now. Legend of Korra is really hit or miss, I will say that. I absolutely love and despise different parts of the show in equal parts, but I'm a big Avatar fan in general, so even at the point in time where the episodes were difficult to watch, I powered through because of my love of the Avatar. But we all know that Aang is never one Avatar, I mean, let's be real. Alright. So the next thing I'm going to do with these, I'm going to have to do them one at a time because I only have so many clips. I'm going to do a single stitch all the way around the outside so that these will be like ready to go and held together. At least at the beginning I'm just going to do the top and bottom, and then I'll reevaluate how everything is sitting, and then I think we could trim off this extra. Oh, but before I do this, I'm gonna apply Velcro to the felt layer only on one side. So let me explain myself on that. But first, Velcro. So here's my Velcro stash. I have part of a piece of black stuff there. I have this purple, which would be interesting. Or I could do red if I really want to keep like a red and black Asami color scheme. I like to use up whatever Velcro I can from my stash before I continue buying more, which is why I didn't get any black. And I don't think they have gray. So as nice as it would be to do the red, I'm a little concerned that it might end up being visible or like flashing the color on the outside if you see too much of it. So I think that this, well, I don't know. Maybe you guys should decide for me. Should I go with the purple or should I go with this like beige? I don't have enough of the black to make it all happen in black. But these are my two color options. So please let me know in the chat which one you want. Meanwhile, Unhero is sharing with us a link that I'm going to pull up here. This is the, what did he say? The best mini craft project ever conceived is how this is billed. So let's see what it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's really cute. So it's a tab that, like, the little plastic tab that you would get on like a bag of bread that holds the bag closed. Someone cut it in half and then drew a little cat face on it in a way that makes it look like a cat. It's so simple, it's so stupid, I love it so much, and Hero, thank you for brightening my day with this. That is really cute. All right. Looks like a lot of people want me to do purple for this because it's like her riding outfit shirt that she has purple. And you know, the outfit, this is the shirt that I'm working on for Asami right now. It doesn't have a collar and it has some, but this is like almost it's like a burgundy color. So I think the purple would be nice with that too, actually. All right, cool. Well, I agree with you guys. Let's do purple. So, the way that these work is that they fold over my foot and they're gonna have Velcro just along the seam here. So I want to add, like, this is the top side and this is the bottom side. So my Velcro, I'm gonna stitch through both layers on the bottom side, but on the top side, I'm only gonna stitch through this layer so that the stitching that's holding the Velcro on will not be going through this outer layer and therefore will not be visible on the outside. So I'm going to divide up the amount of Velcro that I have just straight up in half. And split that between the two. This is the Velcro that I got for Zelda. Zelda has a little bit of Velcro hidden on the dress straps that the pauldrons sit on top of, and they're Velcroed in place. So, yeah, that's why I bought this, is so that because it's purple, it would blend in with my Zelda dress and be pretty. Well, not that it's visible anyway, but it made me happy to buy purple and put purple Velcro on my purple fabric, so that's why I did it. And this is the leftover. I'm gonna hit it with the iron real quick. This doesn't need much, but just to get the creases out. Yes, you can iron your Velcro, you can iron your zippers, you can iron a lot of stuff. Just make sure you're at a low heat setting anytime that you're putting heat on plastic. Ariel Weaver says they follow a streamer who has a rat called Asami. That's really cute. I would love to... I love pet rats. I used to have mice, but never a rat. Okay, so which way do I want these to go? Probably the rough side on the outside and the soft side on the bottom. That's what this is my executive decision here. Oh, and this is now attaching itself straight up to my guy. That's okay. So I need to divide this up into several pieces. It's going to be along a curve and I can't really position this on a curve straight up. So I think just 2 pieces is fine. I'll cut this in half. Well, I've got to be ready to live with this decision, so let me reevaluate a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. Just in half is fine. And the other thing to keep in mind is that this includes a seam allowance. So I can't put it right on the edge or it'll be hidden underneath the seam allowance. Instead, I'm going to move it about just a little over ½ inch away from the edge. Okay, and I am going to end up dividing this into 2 more pieces. So that now we can work around the curve and it'll just be kind of broken up like that. I also got a few sewing pins here. Alright, Unhero, go enjoy your Paper Mario and your energy drinks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, maybe. Okay. So I'm not going to totally separate my two layers because I just spent that time pinning them together, but I am going to fold this back so it's not in our way. And then pin through these other layers. So here, let's see how I want to position this, because I need to do it a little bit strategically, although with the Velcro it shouldn't be too big of a deal where I put it. Now keeping in mind how much overlap do I have. I don't want to move it too far away. So I think I need to keep it like right at a 1/2 inch away from the edge. Wait, I just have a better idea. Instead of pinning this and creating distortion, which we're trying to avoid, I'm gonna see where I put my... Where did I put that Wonder Tape? This would be an excellent use of Wonder Tape. Assuming that I haven't whisked it off somewhere where I will never find it again. Of course I don't see it now that I said that I wanted to use it. Never mind. I found it. We've got it. So now we can do this. Spooky Sparrow, welcome if you're just joining us. Yes, today is Asami cosplay day. I have been working on Celica regularly, but today I just thought, you know, I want to finish something up for Fanime. So for me, that is Asami. Alright, so this stuff, if you missed my last stream where I was using it, this is just double-sided tape that is designed for fabric. And all I want to do is like position it to get that temporary hold so that it won't shift around while I'm trying to sew it. Oh, and I didn't do it. I did not consider exactly how far I wanted this to be from the edge. That's probably fine. Katie is heading out for the night. Thank you for joining us, Katie. We'll see you next time, and we hope you're feeling better and recovering well. Aquarelle Cosplay is just joining us. Hello and welcome. Everybody say hello in the chat. Oh, I just now noticed that LinkFan left a question with the tip that I did not read out loud. The question is, someone probably already asked this, but what's your favorite con to go to? Someone has not asked that, at least not recently. My favorite con is probably KatsuCon, honestly. I've been really enjoying KatsuCon over the last couple of years. It used to be A-Con, but I didn't go last year. I am going back this year though, so I will be at A-Con before too long. So those are my favorite cons. KatsuCon is wonderful because the hotel is so beautiful. It's just a joy to be there, and you get your choice of so many different photo shoot locations, although it's so crowded that you do have to fight for them. Within One Tiger is laughing that I said A-Con. Are you laughing at the name A-Con because it's like the rapper, or are you laughing at the fact that I like that con? Nerds and Crafts is asking, am I gluing this before sewing? I'm not gluing it. I'm using Wonder Tape, which is a water-soluble tape that will disappear if I ever wash these, but I don't think these are going to go in the washer. Well, they're made out of wool, so I better not just toss them in the wash, but that's fine. It's just basting it in place better. Yeah, and preventing it from shifting around so that I can stitch it and not worry. Oh, LinkFan says that they like going to Dragon Con. I like Dragon Con a lot too. Yes, Dragon Con is a source of joy and stress for me because it's Dragon Con. So that's why I don't feel like it's my #1 con. I certainly like some of the other cons better, but Dragon Con is still a wonderful place to hang out with friends. Oh, I can just measure this off of itself the way I did the other two. Eternal Astro is saying, is it worth it to go? I want to go to Katsu, but a lot of my friends from the States are slowly convincing me to go to MagFest instead. Yeah, I used to love MagFest as an alternative to KatsuCon because it's the same hotel, but it's way less crowded. But since then, we have beef with MagFest now, and so I'll probably never go back to MagFest, and it makes me really, really sad because MagFest used to be my favorite con, and now for reasons that have nothing to do with me, I will most likely never be there again. So that sucks, but you know, MagFest is a fun convention as long as you're not there as a guest and expecting to be treated well. Oops. But if you're just there as an attendee, then yeah, MagFest is a great time. All right, I'm gonna position my what is it? Velcro. I'm like so scatterbrained right now. I'm gonna position my Velcro on this other piece too now, and once again, sticking with the rough side. What time are we at? It's about 3:45. I'm gonna stream for at least a while longer. I probably won't go beyond like dinner time. All right. I'm starting to get the coffee shakes again. This is a regular occurrence for me, where it's like, oh no, I'm starting to get jittery from too much caffeine. This is why I need to take a break from caffeine, not from streaming. Oh, Eternal Astra says they apologize if they brought up bad memories. Oh, that is not a problem. Do not worry. You do not need to apologize for that. You have done nothing wrong. I was just making my opinion heard on the fact that MagFest has failed to take their guest security seriously, and it's really unfortunate because otherwise, quite enjoyable convention. So. No, these, I want the position to be like generally similar, but they don't actually have to be identical between the two different spats, as long as they're similar and functioning well enough. So, still placing it just about a ½ inch away from the edge. Do we have any Twin Peaks fans in the house today? I've got Twin Peaks on the brain because they're going to be coming back with a new reboot series really soon, and I'm so excited for it. I recently got into that show after years of hearing it recommended to me by several friends. So that's what I'm thinking about. Ariel Reaver is asking, where do I get my leather from? I generally get my leather from Tandy, but I have two other sources that I really like too, which are Hide House, which is, I think they're based in San Francisco or San Jose, somewhere in that area. And they have a huge catalog that you can look through of all different types of leathers. And I also really like Save More Leather, which is a physical store here in LA, so that's one that I can go to locally. I don't know if they have any sort of online presence. It's sort of not, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to. Cactus Wolf said that they saw the first season of Twin Peaks, but that's it. I keep meaning to watch season 2 so I can catch up for the new season. Well, according to David Lynch, you don't actually need any background info to start the new series. You can just watch and it'll tell you everything you need to know, which is great. But yeah, season 2 gets really rough. Someone tweeted a chart actually, and I retweeted it yesterday. So if you want to know, there's like a listing of episodes by how good they are. And basically you want to watch like season 1 and then the first 9 episodes of season 2, and then just after that it gets really, really rough. So you can still watch it if you're dedicated, but it can be difficult to get through. Isaac is asking for permission to post a link. Hopefully Kitten is still around. Oh, okay, never mind. Cactus Wolf already got it. So fast. So thank you, Cactus Wolf, for being on the ball with that. And what have you got for us, Isaac? Is your name Isaac? Am I mispronouncing it, by the way? Please tell me if I am. Or Isaac, maybe? Okay, so these are the wooden centerpieces that were made by the groom, and that's pretty cute. That's neat. I like people who do like DIY stuff for their wedding. So thanks for sharing, and I hope that you're enjoying that wedding still and not getting too distracted by our stream. But that's nice. Thanks for sharing. Okay. I am gonna go and stitch these down before I continue. Now, I think I'm gonna take the laptop with me so that you'll be able to see me at least in the corner again, if not actually all of me. Let me move some stuff first to make some room, because I keep getting messier as my stream progresses, just descending into chaos over time. It's usually how it goes. Okay. So now we're back to the sewing corner, right there. Well, Velcro is occasionally problematic, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to be a huge pain in the ass to stitch through this. We'll see. So far, so good. It doesn't seem to be shredding our thread, which it sometimes does. Oh, no, I just stuck it to itself. One more stitch. One more stitch. That's okay. that totally went really well. I sound surprised. I'm only semi-surprised because sometimes Velcro can be really stubborn to stitch through, and if you aren't really careful, it can like break your thread because it gets caught. But luckily, it doesn't seem like I'm having that issue right now. It is healing up from getting stuck to itself, or getting stuck to the felt, but it seems to be fine. We check back in with chat questions and things like that. Cactus Wolf is heading out to go pack for a road trip. So have a good rest of your day, Cactus Wolf. Thanks for joining us for the time that you could. Oh. Oh, Killer Cactus is suggesting using a scrap of pattern paper. Are you talking about layering that on the outside of the Velcro, like on the top? Because that could be really useful, but since I haven't had any issues with this one, I'm just going to go ahead and continue without adding anything extra. If that changes, I will definitely take your advice. That's a good tip. Thank you for sharing. Alright, last piece on this one anyway. We have one more to go. Alright, so there's one half of my Velcro. I'm gonna have to be careful with this to make sure it's not just like shredding the inside of my felt. But there it is. One lovely row of Velcro pieces that I've installed. And now I'm gonna just grab the other one and do the same thing. Let's see. Spoopy Sparrow says they wish they knew how to sew better. Well, if you keep watching these streams, you will definitely learn something. Screen Name Taken is heading out for the night. It's 2 a.m. where they are, so thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Nerds and Crafts is telling a story about a stubborn old lady who insisted that she knew what she was doing when she was sewing through sticky back Velcro and gumming up her needles and machine, most likely, which you should not do. This is Velcro that is designed for sewing, so FYI. Make sure that you're buying something that is not sticky back if you are wanting to sew through it. And Spooky Sparrow says, I hate people like that. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something, there's no way to know everything, there's always more to learn. And that is absolutely true. You know, I've been sewing for a while and I have some great experiences. And, you know, I've been taught by some really talented people, but I certainly don't know everything, and I feel like I learn something new every time I embark on a new project. So that's the best attitude to have, is that you don't know everything and that you have lots to learn. So now I'm like dragging my little pincushion along with me. Alright, one down, two to go. Alright, one more and we're done with this part. I still have to put the other half of the Velcro on, but not until the rest of the spats are sewn together. So. Alright, that'll do it for these. Let's check in on what's going on over here. Nightbot is talking about me. Okay, so our Velcro is all on, at least it is half. And I mentioned that I, aside from adding the Velcro, was pretty much ready to stitch these two pieces together. So I have already done like some clipping all the way along the top to hold that in place. I'm going to just stitch along this line and then we'll take another look at it and make sure that it is looking the way we want. Instead of sewing this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is what I usually do, almost everything I sew has a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So instead of sewing a 1/2 inch away from the edge, I'm sewing just like at the width of, like I'm just using the side of my foot as a guide, the side of my sewing foot. So that way that this stitch will be hidden. The way that I'm planning on doing this is just to give it a bound edge. So I'm going to cut some bias tape, and that'll be real bias tape, out of this wool, and then use that to bind the edge. So with that in mind, I'm just going to stitch through both layers as is. Well, the clips are upside down, but that's fine. side I am going to stitch with the wool side up. It'll help me maneuver around this curve. Let me check back in on the chat, see how everyone's doing. Everyone's just lurking right now. That's fine. Sorry that I'm not like really active on the screen, but this has to get sound, so that's what we're doing today. Alright, I've got my top and bottom sewn. You know, I could probably try them on a lot easier from this camera setup. Let's see. Oh yeah, and the Velcro sort of like already sticks to the wool. Not completely, but just enough for me to like try it on. Oh, you know what? I didn't put this on the wrong foot. This needs to be on this foot. Alright. So here's a better look at what we're making. It's splitting open a little bit. But that is actually just right. That's exactly what I need. Okay, cool. Let's see what's going on now. Okay, so people are still working on their own crafts. I think I'm going to call it a day on this stream though. It's been about 3 hours. I'm going to bring this back over here. Been streaming for about 3 hours, and I've certainly gotten to a point where these are starting to take shape and look like the thing that they're trying to be. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, at least for the streaming part of this. And that way I can just focus on finishing these up really quickly and not trying to multitask too much. But look, this is what we've got right here. Now that the felt is inside it, it's really holding its shape a lot better. Now, trying not to get Velcro and everything. It still needs a little bit of work. I've got to close up this side, got to make sure everything is nice and pretty with the seams. Or like the edges, I'm going to do the bound edge and then add my buttons, which are just decorative. But this is what we've got. And you got to see almost all of it come together on stream, so hopefully that's enough information for people who were hoping to learn something cool today. And I'm going to end up working on my Asami costume. Probably not all night because I've got a birthday party to go to. But certainly this weekend and in the coming days, expect a lot more progress on Asami where I show off exactly what I've made because I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and not revealed any of it yet. And I'm looking forward to that. So once again, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate having you here. and having people to talk to while I'm doing my own work, and hopefully you guys got some work done too if that's what you're up to today. So with that, I will see you guys next time. Wednesday stream might be a little bit more chill and short because I've got Fanime going on, but I should have a lot of cool updates. And if I am successful, I'm going to try to stream from Fanime next weekend. So next Saturday stream might be like a live on my phone walking around the con stream if I can pull that off. Marsh of Mars, thank you for following here right at the end. And that's it. That's my spiel. So see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in for my Asami progress. Bye.